Joining me now is author and all-around science geek, Andy Weir. Andy, thank you so much for being with us. You are one of the keynote speakers here at NSTA.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, first of all, let's talk about your background, because I was reading about you and you are kind of like this amazing whiz kid. You were working at the National Science Lab when you were 15 years old?
Yeah, Sandia National Laboratories in Livermore. Although people play that up to be more exciting than it was. Really, I was hired to be sort of a lab assistant kind of thing. They hired, I think, 9 teenagers from the town for it. But in my particular lab, they didn't need someone to clean stuff. They needed someone to write software to analyze data. So they pointed me at a computer and gave me a book on how to program it and said, get back to us when you've worked that out. And that was the beginning of a 25-year-long career in software engineering for me.
Wow, well that is incredible. What I also find fascinating about you, and we'll get to your amazing story of The Martian and your latest book, but what I find fascinating about you is here you are, this whiz kid with this sort of science mind, this science geek, self-proclaimed by the way.
Self-proclaimed,
and
proud
then you managed to transition into being a writer, and a lot of times in life the two worlds don't collide. So how did that happen?
Well, I've been writing for about 20 years before I wrote The Martian, and if you just do something long enough, you eventually suck less at it. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. I always wanted to be a writer, but I'm also a science dork, so I guess they say you write what you know, and this is what I know, so.
That's very cool. And again, just to let everybody know, you wrote the runaway hit The Martian, which was made into a movie.
Some little art house thing, some unknown, yeah. It did really well.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. And you were speaking today. Tell us your main message here today.
Well, I mean, technology makes the world better consistently. So people maybe aren't happy these days with one thing or another, but ask yourself, would you rather live now or any multiple of 100 years ago? Would you rather live now or 1917 or 1817 or 1717? I think everybody would say now.
Yeah.
And if you say well, all right, let's say you're not allowed to say now. You have to go at least as far back as 1917. Or any multiple. Then you'd say well, I guess 1917.
Right.
Everybody would pick the most forward time. And that's because humanity just keeps getting better. I mean, the world just keeps getting better. It doesn't seem like it in the short term, but in the long term, life just keeps getting better. And the main reason for that is because of science. We keep inventing better ways to take care of our physical bodies, to grow enough food for everybody to eat, to do all the things that are necessary to increase the quality of life of people. And so that's why it's really important to teach science. Is so that the following generations will come up with more stuff that makes the world even better, so that when you ask someone in 2117 if they'd rather be there or 2017, they'd be, oh God, no, I'd rather stay in 2117.
Yeah, I mean, and also things are growing at such an accelerated pace. I mean, what took us 100 years now takes 10 years or 5 years. But let's talk a little bit about science education. How do we get more Andy Weirs in the world? What do teachers need to do?
I guess just find the kids who are interested in science on their own and then foster them. One nice thing about having a scientific interest is it really does pay off economically. So you can always make that argument. Sometimes it's hard to get kids interested in doing the math, doing the physics, doing the whatever, but if you can point to successful scientists and software engineers make good money, and if you can point to that and say look, this is a good financial future for you, then that's a good argument, even for a kid, or more importantly, for the parents of that kid, because parents are incredibly important in directing what children do. You can have the best teachers in the world, if you have disengaged parents, that kid's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Now, are you seeing a shift? I mean, I'm seeing a shift. I have a son who's 7, and I mean, this
Impossible. You're too young.
Thank you. My son is basically grown up in front of a computer. Are you happy with what you're seeing in terms of kids getting interested in STEM? I mean, you've got kindergartners learning code. Is that really what needs to happen?
That's awesome. Yes, it's absolutely awesome. It's just like, if you go back in time 100 years, I mean, most people didn't know how to drive. Yeah. Most people didn't know, I mean, nobody would have known how to, operate a radio or a TV or anything like that, and now it's second nature. Just think about it, we've got a whole generation of teenagers right now, older than your kid, but teenagers right now who completely understand the concept of everything related to radio broadcasting, radio permeability, and all that simply because they're looking for a Wi-Fi signal.
Yeah.
You know, and they understand how far away they can be from the router and that they can't be on the other side of this kind of wall, but they can be on the other side of that kind of wall. It would be unthinkable to expect every teenager in the 1950s to understand electromagnetic wave propagation like our teenagers do at an instinctive level.
It really is amazing, and so much more to look forward to. And really quickly, Andy, we're running out of time, but I do want to touch on your book. You have a new book coming out.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
It takes place in a city on the moon. I came up with a whole economic reason why there's a city on the moon. Everything's scientifically accurate, and the main character is a woman who is a small-time criminal who gets in way over her head. Hope to have it out in November, we're hoping.
Awesome. Well, Andy Weir, thank you so much for joining us here at NSTA Television. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.